Welcome back to another episode of the Open Source Cafe. I have my good friend and college mate here with me, Shive. And today we're going to talk about all about hackathons. And Shive has done some amazing work in this domain. So Shive, would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself?
All right, yeah, thank you so much, Kanal, and it's really great to be on your show again. I have been deeply following your work, especially the kind of growth that you have seen, with the help of the community classroom. So it's really great to see that, and of course, you have hosted quite a lot of hackathons. So today, I'm really going to be speaking all about my experiences with hackathons. I graduated in 2020, and ever since I've been working as a software developer, and of course, during my college time and after college, I have been involved with more than 90 plus hackathons at this point of time as a mentor, hacker, host as well, and as a judge as well. So I've had quite a lot of experiences and would love to share my thoughts with everyone today in this show.
Amazing. And can for folks who may be like beginners, can you share what is your definition of a hackathon?
Yeah. So from my experience, I just believe that hackathon is a developer sprint, but that doesn't mean that only developers can take part in it. It's really for everyone, whether you are a software developer or you're a designer or you are even coming from a non-technical background. Hackathons are really for everyone, and everyone can give their contributions. The basic idea is that in a certain period of time, 24 hours, 36 hours, you're supposed to build something, right? It could be a product, it could be a solution that helps to solve some social problem, or it helps to reach some kind of a goal, and those goals are usually decided by, let's say, some themes that are decided at the hackathon.
Amazing. And as Shive, as we mentioned, he has a lot of experience with hackathons, and now hackathons are of various. If you to categorize those, there's national hackathons, international hackathons like Hack MIT, which is just an out of this world event, and remote hackathons as well. So, can you maybe summarize what your experiences have been? What are some of the best hackathons you have been to nationally, internationally, and remote?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had that unique experience of being able to experience all of these, right? Even student-led hackathons in person, then like being part of national level hackathons like Smart India Hackathon, which is one of my best experiences, especially at a national level hackathon. And then I've also been to international hackathons like Hack MIT, which is by far the best experience that I had, not in just in terms of the hackathon experience itself, but also being actually able to interact with the developers who had actually come over there, all the different teams that were there. And even with virtual hackathons, I've had really great experiences, especially at Pen Apps, Hack MIT, in virtual edition as well. Because virtual hackathons just enabled everyone from any part of the world to be able to take part in various hackathons. And I was also part of the MLH fellowship, specifically in the section where we were actually building hackathon projects. So it was basically called the Explore program, and it was a really wonderful experience as well.
Amazing. And the question folks may ask you at this point is, how do you find out about these opportunities?
Yeah. I think the way it started out was that there were a few hackathons that I was aware of. That like a lot of my friends, when I was in my second year, they used to go over there, and I was just aware of, okay, like there were some hackathons near to my college, right? There's a college DTU, so I was aware of Hack DTU, but it was only after actually going to my first ever hackathon that I got to know that hackathons are just not limited to colleges. Hackathons are organized by companies, by governments, right? And there are international level hackathons, there are national hackathons outside of your own city. So it is just because of that networking and getting those connections made at these hackathons that helped me to get to know about all of these different opportunities. But I feel that India is now growing at such a huge pace in terms of software developers and students taking part in all of these initiatives, that in general we have seen, especially in the past 2 to 3 years, that a lot of people have got to know about these hackathons as well. So that's a really great thing, that more and more people are getting to know about it within their school years, or the moment they join college, and they're able to take part in these hackathons and gain a lot of experience. So that's also something that has attributed to more and more people to get to know about these opportunities.
Amazing. Yeah, could not agree more. And when we're talking about hackathons, like Shiva mentioned, they are for everyone. You can just take part and learn while contributing and stuff. So I'm going to save you all some time if you're still wondering, should I take part? Should I not take part? What are the prerequisites? Nothing.
Yeah,
Just take part and you'll learn on the go. But still, we'll answer those questions. So we'll divide this category in three parts. What do you have to do before the hackathon, during, and after?
yeah,
So Shive, let's start with like what are your, what are some of the action items before the event is taking place? So let's say you
absolutely.
know that okay, I want to go to this event, I want to attend this hackathon. Before it gets started, what are some of the things that you have to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, whenever you take part in a hackathon, it's 99% of the times you'll be already aware, okay, what are the different type of themes that are going to be there at the hackathon. So, some hackathons might have themes, some might have like very specific challenges that are supposed to be solved. And you might also find a lot of different sponsor related challenges that might be there. Where, like, usually in these sponsor challenges, you might have to use an API of these sponsors and integrate in your product, and they'll have some prizes for that. So you'll have a good idea of, okay, these are the things that there are. So you can start to brainstorm about, okay, what particular theme or what particular problem statement you're able to relate to the most, so that you're not just able to actually build a solution, but you are able to build a solution that will actually help solve that problem. Because normally what happens is that if you are not able to relate to a problem, then even if you build a solution, it will sort of be a half-hearted solution. So start brainstorming on which particular problem statement or a theme that you feel is the closest that you can connect with. You have had prior experience with it, and then what you can do is you can start to brainstorm on various solutions. Start thinking about various solutions that you can probably build for that specific problem statement. Because of course you also need to keep in mind that there are thousands of students taking part in hackathons every month, and you might come across a pre-existing solution that you might be thinking of. And what you don't want to do is that at the end you spend 24 hours, 36 hours building a solution just to come to know that that kind of solution and solutions even better than your solution are already existing. So you need to do proper research on what exactly do you want to solve, whether there are some existing solutions that are already there, and if there are existing solutions, then you can think of ways, okay, how can you improve the existing solutions to make them even more optimized and make them better. Now secondly, then you can start to sort of do is start thinking about how you can form a team, right? Because a lot of hackathons allow you to register as a team itself. So start to think about, okay, how can you manage the team? Because a team at a hackathon is really important. You ideally want to have a very balanced team which will have characteristics of, like, let's say, have someone who is a good software developer, have someone who is aware of some of the emerging technologies such as blockchain, AI, Web3 for that matter. Right? Nowadays, Web3 is quite common. So have someone who has that experience. Then have someone who can look into the design of your product, because UI UX is a really integral part of any project or any solution that you build. And finally, have someone who can help pitch your project, who can help you in ideation, who can help you in understanding, okay, what's a really valuable product, right? What valuable project that might be beneficial for the problem statement that you're looking to solve. So if you just come up with, everyone being software developers, you might be able to build a good solution, but it might not be the best solution. So you have to be very sort of thoughtful when it actually comes to creating a team. Try to create a team that has got diversity in terms of experience, in terms of diversity of levels as well. So that's something that is usually sort of recommended. Now, of course, sometimes you might form a team at the hackathon itself, but it sort of remains the same. Like the things that you should do to build an ideal team, that sort of remains the same. So these are some of the things that you can definitely do before going to that hackathon.
Yeah, and like if you're a beginner, you don't have a team. Many hackathons, they also support like team forming exercises
Yeah.
and places that you can form a team and look for folks to collaborate with.
Yes, and
Cool.
there are actually
And
a lot of
yeah,
yeah, there are actually a lot of hackathons that are specifically made for beginner friendly. They're beginner friendly, so there will be specific tracks for absolute beginners as well. And then there are hackathons that are just for beginners. So you can definitely also take experience by attending those hackathons.
amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. And now let's talk about during the hackathon. So you have your team, you have your little bit of a theme or whatever. Now what do we do till the hackathon hacking period starts and the hacking period ends?
Yes, absolutely. So of course, you just have a very limited amount of time. You have 24, 36 hours. Sometimes you might have like week long, month long hackathons, but those are somewhat rare. But I'm talking in general about those hackathons that are usually 12, 24, 24 hours, 36 hours. So of course, you have limited amount of time, and in that you have to build a solution. So I would say that first, do not have the mentality that you have to rush to build like the entire solution. The idea is to be able to build an MVP. MVP is like minimum valuable, a project. That what it means is that be able to showcase the bare minimum features that are required, that you aim to build, right? And then try to build new features on top of the MVP that you have built. So the idea, or sort of your strategy, should be in this way, that even if like you feel that yes, there are going to be a lot of features that you want to build, but just sort of set a baseline of what you want your base project to be. And then once you actually reach to that stage, then start to build more features on top of it. Try to ensure that you build that minimal viable product, right? You implement a feedback mechanism into it, so that you can get to know that whether whatever you have built is actually usable. So ask, or connect with mentors to receive their feedback on what do they think about your project, and if they feel that there are certain improvements that can be made, try to make those. And once you feel that yes, you have received a certain baseline, then only proceed further to build more features on top of it. And of course, even before building this MVP, sort of create a plan, right? Create a roadmap of what are the things that you want to build, and sort of divide the tasks, if amongst all the team members. Because if everyone starts to build together, then there can be a lot of confusion, and you might actually face situations where multiple people are working on the same thing, and it's not really very efficient to do that because of the limited time that you have to actually build a good solution. So the moment you start, this sort of plan out what everyone is going to do, right? Sort of give specific tasks to everyone. If there's some collaboration needed, then define that. And once you have made this roadmap that okay, these are the things that you want to accomplish at certain points of time, then start to build and put your focus towards building the MVP, right, that I just mentioned. And once you have built your baseline MVP, you have gotten the recommendations and feedback from the mentors, feedback from others people, and you've implemented those feedback to build a baseline project, then start to build on top of it and look how you can improve your project, right? And at the same time, don't let the final pitch, because usually what happens at a hackathon is that at the end of your 12, 24, 36 hours, you're supposed to pitch the project. So don't leave that part of the experience at the end. At the time when you are building the project, continuously also see that ways in which you can improve your project, and at the same time think, okay, how are you going to be pitching your project? Because a lot of times it will happen that the moment that you start building your project, what you have thought that like this is the end goal I want to achieve, but at times you might not be able to achieve that. So you might have to think of ways to be able to let's change or improvise on your on your pitch that you're going to be giving at the end when you finish building your project. Now, one more useful trick that will help you save a lot of time is that, as I had mentioned earlier, that there are going to be a lot of sponsor APIs, right? Normally, if you were to build a solution, let's say that you wanted to build your own file uploader, it might take you like let's say a couple of hours. But let's say if you have a sponsor which provides its own file uploader API, then you can just integrate it, and within let's say half an hour, you are able to integrate a file uploader API. So that actually helps you save a lot of time, and it's quite beneficial to be able to use these APIs to help augment the solution that you're building. That will help you not only able to actually save time in what if you might have actually built that same feature natively. Secondly, you'll also be able to be eligible to be able to take part in sponsor related challenges as well. So that's an inner added benefit to be able to take and implement these APIs. Third, I would say is that of course it's you're sort of sprinting, right? It's a developer sprint, but ensure that you are taking adequate break as well, because you don't want to overexert yourself. If you feel that you're having less productivity, just take some break. There are tons of different activities during the hackathon that you can take. part in, right? There is of course, there are a lot of different side activities that take place, some games,
Mini
right?
events.
Yeah, there are a lot of side events that take place, or you can even take like a short nap if you want. But it is really important to take that in case you feel overexerted. It's important to take that break and then come back with your full productivity. And at that point of time, it's really important that you are clearly mentioning that to your team, so ensure that the team is properly in sync as well. Because let's say if there are different opinions within the team during the hackathon, then that can lead a lot of wastage of time, right, during the hackathon itself. So essentially, of course, I've covered a lot of different points, but the baseline is that after you have formed your team, think of, okay, who will be your team captain or like the team leader, and sort of appropriately divide the tasks, then start building on top of your MVP. Get regular feedback about your project from the mentors, and build on top of those feedback. Continuously research more and more as you're building your project, how you can improve it, right? And then try to build some more features once you're you are sort of confident that you have built a minimum baseline project. And of course, apart from that, there are a lot of different activities that you can do during the hackathon that will help to maintain a mental balance, and will help you keep yourself optimized to be able to work on your project. And of course, it's also important that before the in the end game that we have, that is the pitching, that you also prepare on your pitch on how you want to go ahead and actually share your solution in front of the judges. So these are the things that you can keep in mind during the hackathon.
Amazing. Well, thanks a lot for sharing, Shiva. And
Yeah,
I really love the point that you mentioned about, because I'm an MLH coach and I've organized and judged so many hackathons. One
yeah,
problem one mistake that I see folks make is that they're over enthusiastic, which is not a bad thing, but within the limited time frame, you have to be realistic. So
absolutely.
so for example, if you find yourself in a place where you're like, okay, we'll add these many features and 5 to 10 features or whatever, it will be very cool. That's great. But what you have to focus on first is have the like minimal like viable product ready,
Yeah,
something that you can show, something that works with limited amount of features. Get that ready first. After that, if you have time, then you can add on to like new features. This is very important because a few good working features is better than a lot of incomplete features. And as a judge, we know this matters quite a lot. What you can do in the, let's say you have your own basic application ready and you're adding some more features onto it, but you are not able to complete, then you can mention we were trying to do this and that is what we have planned for like the future. In your pitch, you can mention that. One more thing I want to mention about like presenting and like the coding part is that definitely make use of things that you may not know. Sponsors come into picture in this very nicely because you may not have heard about a particular sponsor. So if you're just hacking on, let's say you are an expert in React and all you're doing is React and nothing else, and you're not learning something new. So try out new things at the hackathon. That's also one more point I would like to make. Apart from that, just like have fun and interact with other team members as well, other teams. And from a judge's point of view, it's not like if someone is using Node.js, then that's a better project than someone who is using Python or something, right? So at the end, what matters is if your project is working, if you're accomplishing and what you plan to do, and most importantly, what Shiva mentioned was the theme. So if you're following the theme and if
absolutely.
you're actually solving a problem. So that was amazing, Shiva. And what let's conclude this with what after the hackathon. Let's say you've finished your hackathon, your project is there, and the hackathon is over. How do you take that forward?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, just I add one more point regarding the presentation, right? So the presentation is sort of like the end game that we just discussed, and the idea is that, of course, you might have built a really great project, but if you're not able to properly represent what your project really is all about in front of the judges, because usually the judges are not going to be there for all that entire duration of 24 hours, right? They are just going to be there at towards the end, and they're sitting in front of you for 4 5 minutes, and that's the time in which you have to sort of not just share about your project, but also then answer their queries. So the best way to sort of pitch your project is think of ways in which you're able to correlate the project to that actual problem, and the way you deliver it is also super important. So let's say that you are building a solution for farmers. Then if you're if you're able to showcase through your pitch that how it actually affects like the farmers, right? Then that will be very beneficial. So you have to connect with the judges and showcase your project. So that's just one simple point that I wanted to mention. Yeah.
Could not agree more. And what about like after the hackathon? What are the steps? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, like, even if you might have not won at a hackathon, that's not the end of the road for you. The hackathons are a learning, like learning experience for everyone. And you should come with that mindset to a hackathon that you will be learning something and you'll be gaining from that experience, right? Whether it's through networking or learning a new technology. Now, once you have completed the hackathon, normally what happens is that a lot of people, they discard their projects because, of course, it's not possible to complete a project in 24 hours. But what you should do is that you should ideally try to, build on top of that project, because a lot of times you can connect with those mentors later on, or you could, actually hack together with your teammates further, whenever you get time to actually build those projects. A lot of startups today have been actual, hackathon ideas. Like Microsoft Teams was actually created during an internal hackathon at Microsoft, right? So definitely, a lot of startups with millions of dollars of funding have been hackathon projects. So try to build on top of those hackathon projects, because that will give you two things, two main benefits. One is you'll not only be able to expand that project further and actually make it very meaningful. Secondly, it will also help you in the long run to build more valuable projects, and that will help also help you not only with the product management, how you'll actually build projects, but also will help you with your technical skills to be able to use, different technologies, full stack technologies, to be able to host, right, to be able to debug your projects, and it will be beneficial for your own development. Secondly, what you can also do is that you can open source these projects. If you have really built, like, let's say, a developer tool that is useful for everyone. Like, let's say, one of my friends had built like this Golang tool that helped to, sort of, if I recall correctly, it was a Golang, like a command line tool that he made with Golang, which used to basically change readmes into a more suitable format in a, in a in a command line tool. So if you're able to build such kind of developer tools that might be useful for others, and you're able to open source them, then it can actually become a really great open source project as well. And potentially, you can have more collaborators coming in and building it further. And that is again a great way to be able to give back to the community if you're building such kind of really great open source projects, because open source needs more and more, developer tools. And today we are seeing a lot of developer tools come into the market, right, which are open sourced. So that's also a great way to give back to the community. So think that how, outside of your experience at a hackathon, you can look to build and build on top of the project that you build, and how that can be be used to help solve a problem, or be used by others.
Amazing. Could not agree more, and love the part about like open source, and definitely an interesting point of view about how many startups have been formed via hackathons as well. So you know the potential, of your project. So collaborate and share, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. And I believe we covered everything. If you have more questions, you will have more questions that will those will be solved like when you're getting involved in communities and taking part at hackathons. We didn't really, go over asking all these questions and stuff. We actually got the answers to these questions from our experiences. So
Exactly.
experiences are going to teach you a lot more. So just get involved, even if you don't know anything. Get involved, learn, contribute. That's pretty much about it. Thanks, Shive, for joining, and thanks everyone for watching as well. If you want to connect with Shive, you can check out the links in the description, and make sure you can share this video and podcast episode with your friends who want to get involved, and join the Discord link, and everything is mentioned in the description below. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.